Hi, everybody. Welcome. It's Matthew Dickson of mindy.ca, and I'm going to be talking about mental health tonight. I'll talk about schizophrenia, my experience with that, some ways to help you out, and I'll also touch on mental health in developing countries. So, I've written an article on eco-anxiety, and it's on my Medium page. If you go to mindaid.ca in the About section, you'll see a link to that goes to all my links. You'll see all my links on this one page on the link in the About section of mindy.ca, and you'll see a link to my eco-anxiety article. I've got some videos on my YouTube channel on eco-anxiety too. The article, so I read two books. One was Hope Matters by Ellen Kelsey, and the other one was called Saving Us by Katharine Hayhoe. And I'll talk about this for a bit. If you're wondering about some of the things I say, they'll come from the article. You can see more information there. And a lot of us are worried about the fate of the planet affecting our mental health. Yes, COVID has been a real struggle for us. And hopefully, we're learning some lessons from COVID that we can put forward to helping save the planet. I know some people don't believe that the Earth is being warmed because of our own emissions, and that's fine. I can't tell people what they believe or not. Uh, People do though realize and see that temperatures are rising. So anyway, I'll talk about in the very end. People are worried about rising temperatures and what we're going to do, and I'm going to try to give some things to help people calm their eco-anxiety. And so a lot of mental health professionals, counselors, therapists are having more and more people coming in to them saying, I've got eco-anxiety or eco-grief, or there are actually a bunch of different terms people are using. Pre-traumatic stress disorder, getting traumatized by things that haven't even happened yet, the anticipation of it all. And the mental health professionals are saying, we're not really entirely the best equipped to deal with this. This is new for us. These two books by Ellen Kelsey and Katharine Hayhoe, the foreword by the Ellen Kelsey book, or there's a testimonial by Jane Goodall, the environmental advocate, in Ellen Kelsey's book. Those two books have really, if you Google eco-anxiety books on Amazon, there are a handful of them out there, and I'm hoping there'll be more as time goes on. These two really stood out, and they really helped make me feel more positive about rising temperatures. And I'm hoping I encourage you to read them. In Canada, here are they're in my province. They're in the libraries in my province. And I don't know how many people know this, but in Canada, you can get a library book out from they will search any library in Canada to find a book for you to see if they have it. So if you're in any province in Canada, you can get these books out because they're in my province. They will ship them to you uh, for free uh, across the country so you can read them, which is incredible, all for free. So, yeah, the they they say no one really knows. There's not one person on the planet today who knows what's going to happen with the environment. So yes, there is unknown, but they've really helped open my eyes to. They've given me so much more hope, and I don't worry about it as much. Yes, I still try to advocate and try to tell people about the environment and things we can do, and I'm a big, I like to think I'm a big promoter of that. I could have a larger voice in that for sure. But uh, Catherine Hayhoe says that people think the environment is this thing that we have so much work to do and we're so far behind, like we're just barely getting started. And she says that's not the case at all by any means. She says people think it's like this big boulder that's at the bottom of the hill, and we have to push the boulder up to the top of the hill and let it roll down the hill. She says for decades, there are millions of people who have been working for decades trying to get that boulder up to the top of the hill. And she says where we are, excuse me, that boulder is at the top of the hill. It's actually rolling down the hill. It's partway down the hill, rolling down the hill, gaining speed with hundreds of millions, if not billions of hands pushing it downhill. She says the only thing is that that boulder needs to be rolling about 10 times as fast. She doesn't give any factual reasoning for where she got that number of 10 times as fast, but maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. I'm guessing it's more of a just sort of random number. Well, not totally random, but it gets across the point though that people are working on this. There are millions of people working on this, and they have been for decades. It's not this thing that we are doing nothing about or very little, and we need to go a million times faster. So if you've got mental illness and you feel you can't do what you want to do in life, like I did for many years, I've got schizophrenia. I felt for many years I can't be as productive as I want. And you think, if only I was healthier, more able-bodied, I could get up and do stuff, help people out more, help more for the cause of the environment or whatever cause you want to fight for, whatever you want to do with your life. Know that there are people working on this. If you're sitting there thinking, I wish I could do more, but I can't, know that there are people working on this. There are, and there'll be more and more as time goes on. And Malcolm Gladwell, in one of his books, he talks about a tipping point where these happen in life. They've happened many times where things build, but they don't get a lot of momentum, and they build and build, and then finally they reach a tipping point where it spills over into the mainstream, and then it just gathers speed incredibly. I'm guessing that'll happen soon in the next so many years. The global Greta Thunberg brought to light or made more mainstream the 2030 global ecosystem collapse that's starting, and that'll start in 2030. It could come sooner, could be 2027, 2028, could be later, 2032, 2030, I'm assuming is, a random, partially random date. But they also say that this global ecosystem collapse won't happen all at once. If it does happen, which I'm hopeful that it won't, but if it does, it would happen not all at once. It would happen over, they say, the next 20 years or so, falling like 2030 to 2050 or something. But there are millions of people working on this, and we're hopefully going to make more headway. So this tipping point, a friend of mine said that she believes it might happen in, say, 2025, where more people get behind it. Right now, most governments in the world are behind climate change. They're backing it. They're trying to do things to stop it. It's not like the governments aren't doing anything. Yes, we could all do more, but the governments are supporting it. That's the first step. They could be totally not supporting it, but they are. They're all trying their best to do this. And if you look at polls, the large majority of the population in these countries, the people are supporting. They say, we think that it's emissions causing this, and we're going to try to do something about it. So I know can be people have different beliefs in this, and I don't really want to get into that. I'm mostly just trying to help people with anxiety, because I know anxiety is so bad. I've had it, and it's horrible. Just the worry, it's just the thoughts that go round and round in circles. I know I've been there. And for many years, I've thought about the environment, and it's been a worry of mine. But these two books, I'm telling you, they've helped me so much. They say that news. So one of the things you can do is, if you're watching a news segment, for one, they in one of the books it says that news is addictive, which I didn't know, but news is addictive, and often we don't really even pay attention to the things that we don't really even know why we feel a certain way sometimes or get into a certain mood. There could be music on that we're not even really paying attention to off in the background that may affect us a certain way. There could be a news show on in the background giving negative news. So for news, if you see a story about the environment on TV or wherever, ask yourself these two questions. Is this a positive or a negative story about the environment? Is this hopeful or not? And at the end of the article, does it give something that you can do to help? Does it give a call to action, something you can do? Does it leave on a positive note saying, yes, this is bad, but here's something you can do to help? And because they say there are so many positive, feel-good stories about the environment, people doing things. There are so many things happening where people are making progress, but we're bombarded by so many negative news stories about the environment. And studies have shown that if you give people too many negative stories about anything, not just the environment, any topic, people become apathetic. They will feel there is no hope and there's nothing I can do, so I will just not take action. That's been shown in studies for many different topics. So it's been happening with the environment to millions of us. We sit there and they say millions of people, young and old. Yes, some of the youth are apathetic. They say there's just no hope. And but that there but there's so many good stories, and they say you have to actively look for positive stories. The two books are full of positive stories. They really help say, wow, I didn't know that was happening. I didn't know that was happening, and that and that and that and that. Wow, people are really taking action. You get to feel that hope, that positivity, like, oh, we might actually do this. Instead of what most people have is news shows with negative stories with maybe not a positive ending or a positive call to action at the end of the article. And we're left there thinking, oh, there's no hope. There's nothing I can do. So the book, one of the book, well, probably both of the books have one at least. They have websites you can go to, websites that are made for positive environmental stories, saying, look, here it is. We've saved this. We've saved this area of land, this wetland. We've saved these animals from extinction. We've saved this, 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 this. Look at all these things. We're designing this new plastic substitutes. And there's so many positive news stories. And if we were bombarded by those, wouldn't we be happier? Wouldn't we be less apathetic, taking action, saying, oh, maybe I can help out with this? And Catherine Hayhoe, she's got a TED Talk too, if you want to watch that, if you don't have time to read the whole book, her book. She says that conversations, she says, it's hard to believe. She says conversations are the number one thing you can do to help the environment. The number one thing. Before buying an electric vehicle or putting solar panels on your house, recycling, having conversations, getting more people taking action, an all hands on deck attitude. And so someone watched that TED Talk of hers, and he approached her later and he said, look, Catherine, I started having conversations with people. I've actually kept a list of the people I talked to. Would you like to see the list? She said, sure. So he pulled out the list, 10,000 people. He'd had conversations with 10,000 people. He lives in England, and his community has made great strides in helping the environment in their community. Great strides. She says, you don't have to, people think, well, if I'm an advocate for the environment, I have to be more of a cheerleader type, loud, extroverted. She says, you don't have to be. Quiet one-on-one conversations can go miles. They can have a really big effect. Jane Goodall. Jane Goodall is not a cheerleader, extroverted kind of personality. She's quiet, calm, yet she's had a massive effect for millions of people. You don't have to be this loud, outgoing person. And yeah, I highly encourage you to read those books. They've helped me so much. So much. Yeah. With schizophrenia, I'll talk about that here for a little bit. I I've had a rough time for a long time, but I'm doing well now, and I'm so happy about that. I'd say the other day, I just have overwhelming joy for being alive. It's February 11th, 2021, my symptoms stopped. And after 27 years of living with it, I improved weekly for those 27 years. Every week was a bit better than the week before. And I got my health back. 1% of the population has schizophrenia, and it's fairly common. 1%, you'd think, well, that's low. It's 1% of 7 billion people. 7.8 billion people is, 78 million people. It's like many people suffering with that. But there's hope. There's hope. Medications these days are working, from my understanding, a lot better than they used to. There's someone I know in Saskatchewan, Canada, who's doing a schizophrenia advocate who's doing things at 25 that I was not doing at 25. 25 was my recovery was just starting to get started. I got diagnosed at 22, and but yeah, there's hope. There's long-term injectables now for people with schizophrenia. I'm not sure if injectables are for other kinds of mental illness like depression and whatnot, but for schizophrenia, they are. You can give someone an injectable, their medication by injection that'll last months. I think there's one for a 6-month injectable now, maybe even a year. If not, they're probably not far down the line from being used in, in mainstream. But yeah, it's those are for people using those long-term injectables already. They're really game changers. People don't have to remember when they sometimes forget to take the medication. They can just take it, set it, and forget it. So yeah, there's hope. Medications are not just the only thing with schizophrenia and other mental illnesses. You need to do other things, get counseling. Um, I a lot of the I went to books on how to get myself better, mental health tips. I read books by Olympic athletes, Navy SEALs, CEOs in the business and career section in books. All these top CEOs, multimillionaires, are looking for ways to become better mentally, and they share a lot of their secrets in those books and how you can become stronger mentally, more resilient, and be able to handle more stress easily. It's possible, and there's so many books out there. I highly recommend taking your recovery into your own hands and becoming your own advocate, as hard as that may be sometimes. But you have to keep going with mental illness. You have to keep going. You have to keep fighting, and having hope, having hope for the future, because you don't know what tomorrow may bring. Like the sign says behind me over there, you never know what tomorrow may bring. You have no idea. In the last 10, 20 years, there have been so many changes, so many advancements in medicine, studies of the brain. We know so much more about the brain now in 2022 than 2000, so much more. And the next 10, 20 years, there'll be even more. This is not going to stop. It's not like, yes, we've reached all the end of knowledge. We figured everything out. And if you're not cured by then, well, too bad. No, it's not like that. There are people going to be working on more and more and more things. And so have hope, keep fighting. I know mental illness is tough. I know I struggled for a long time. Keep hanging in there. You don't know. You don't know what can happen. You have no idea. And I know it's hard when you're depressed and not being able to think properly. I was like that too. Oh, I thought, oh, this is probably this, the way I'll be forever, what's going to happen. It's scary. It's very scary when your health is at stake and feels like who, who knows what's going to happen. It's scary, but have hope. Keep fighting. You may think, I don't know how I'm going to get through today. I don't know what's going to happen. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other. I believe there's something I call it hope beyond hope. When you've given up hope, there are other things at play in the world, call it chance, fate, whatever. There are other things at play that'll keep you alive, keep you hopeful. It'll hope for you. It will hope for you. These things just keep working out. So many times I thought, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but something happens. Something happens. You find strength where you didn't know you had it. A phone call can happen. Things change. Life is not linear. Life is always full of twists and turns, and there will be more twists and turns for eternity. As long as there is life on earth, there will be twists and turns in people's lives. It'll just keep happening. A phone call can happen. Other people's plans can change. Money can appear in your bank account that you didn't expect. That's happened to me numerous times throughout my life. If you're worried about where you're going to get money from, it's, oh, look at that. A random check from the government appeared in my bank account for some tax something. I didn't know that was going to happen. Forgot about that. I had no idea. Wow, that saved me. You don't know what's going to happen. So keep fighting. Just keep hanging in there moment by moment. One thing that I find helpful is not making a decision until I absolutely have to make a decision, because you don't know what can happen even in minutes. You may have an idea. You may phone a friend and say, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And they can say, well, what about this? What about this? And you say, you know what? I never even thought about that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for telling me that. Thank you. Thank you. You didn't know that was going to happen. Reaching out to people, people are our biggest resources. The biggest resources you can have in your life are people. Yeah, people who can help you out. We're all in this together. So many people, when they go through rough stuff, they say what they learned is that people are so important. And think about the word social capital. How many people can you call if you have to move to help you move? What's your list look like? People who actually come over to your house, move out your sofa, your fridge. How many people can you call to do that? So try to build up your friends, and maybe it's online. Maybe they can't actually come to your house and help you move, but maybe you've got a good online social capital. Maybe people to talk to, people to help out. Keep reaching out to people. I know it's tough. I didn't want to. It hurt me to talk to people for years with schizophrenia, but I did it anyway. I tried my best. It's tough. Mental illness can make you isolate, and try to fight that. I know it's tough. You may think, I'm isolating. No one cares about me. Try to get out of the house every day if you can. Getting out of the house may not make you feel one lick better, but do it anyway, because somewhere inside these little things can add up. A trip outside, you talk to some people, uh, you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen. So yeah, keep fighting. I try to keep these around 20 minutes. I'm a little over tonight, but anyway, um, thanks. I fight for mental health in developing countries. That's one of my aims. I mean, every country, when it comes to mental health care, is a developing country. And that's what Shakar Saxena from Harvard said at the UN in recent years. Every country's mental health care system is a developing country. Some are better than others, but they're all in the level of developing countries' mental health care systems. So, how can you help? I know there are millions of people out there who'd want to. I know we've had this debate for decades of, do we help people at home or do we help people far away in other countries? What do we do? And people have been debating that for years. In the end, people are free to donate to whoever they want to. And for decades, people have fostered children in Ethiopia and bought goats and built schools and drilled wells for people in developing countries. And they'll keep doing that. I want to throw in another one: mental health in developing countries. Where do you go? What do you do? How do you help someone? Go to mindaid.ca. My website's there. I've put as many as I can find of groups helping people with mental illness in developing countries, all on one site, all at mindaid.ca. You can go there. There are 7 nonprofits that you can donate to or fundraise for. You can go on their websites. You can give $3 a month, $5 a month. It's like a coffee a month. And that can help someone get their mental health back in Tanzania, wherever these nonprofits work, and they work in a number of different countries. FindMind, check them out. Findmind.org is their website, but they're called FindMind. They're one of the 7 you can donate to at mindaid.ca. Go to the donate section of mindaid.ca and FindMind. They help people in northern Uganda. They're one of the newer nonprofits of the 7. Forrest Whitaker, the Hollywood actor from Star Wars, he's helping them out. And with his foundation, he's helping FindMind get people mental health care and back healthier. They get their health back. It is possible to get through mental health. You can do it. You can. It is possible in any country. It's possible. If you're a human being, there are treatments for you. Nothing's guaranteed in life, but you have to keep fighting even though you don't have a guarantee. You have to keep fighting. Anyway, I hope that's of some help to people. Thanks so much for watching. And I'm doing these Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern. So see you next Monday.